Elon Musk's XAI is now rolling out Grok 4.
Grok 4.
All right, welcome to the Grok 4 release here. This is the smartest AI in the world, and we're going to show you exactly how and why.
What if an AI could actually tell you what the rest of 2026 is going to look like, and the answer left experts genuinely unsettled? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going all in on Grok, what it actually said about 2026, and why some of those answers are already proving to be uncomfortably close to reality. We're going chapter by chapter, so you don't miss a single piece of this. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow along so you never miss a video like this. Now let's get into it.
Elon Musk's XAI has released its newest AI model, Grok 4, I believe as of 4 a.m. UK time, so about 3 hours, been live for 3 hours. What can we expect when it comes to this new iteration?
Who is Grok, and why should you care? Let's start from the beginning, because not everyone is familiar with Grok and what makes it different from every other AI out there. Grok is the AI built by XAI, which is Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company. It launched in late 2023, and since then, it has gone through multiple major upgrades at a pace that has left even seasoned tech analysts a little breathless. What separates Grok from the competition like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini is something very specific. Grok has live access to X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. That means it's pulling from around 68 million posts per day in real time. It's not working off old data like most AI tools are. It sees conversations, trends, and events as they happen. That is a structural advantage that no other major AI currently has. By early 2026, Grok had already been integrated into select classified U.S. Department of Defense networks, which tells you this is not just a chatbot people use for fun. Real institutions with serious stakes are betting on it. That kind of validation changes the conversation entirely. When we ask Grok what 2026 looks like, we're asking a system that is plugged directly into the live pulse of the world. And if you think that sounds like a lot of power for one AI to hold, well, you're not alone. That's exactly where the story starts to get interesting. Grok's predictions about the economy in 2026. One of the first things people have been asking Grok about is the economy. What is actually going to happen this year? Is this AI bubble going to burst? Are we heading into a slowdown or something bigger? When Grok is asked about the broader economic picture, it points to AI spending as both the engine of growth and a potential pressure point. The 5 main hyperscalers, including Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Oracle, had $241 billion in capital expenditures in 2024. And many analysts expect that total to exceed $500 billion in 2026. That is an extraordinary amount of money flowing into AI infrastructure. The data centers, the chips, the power grids needed to run all of this, it is the biggest technology investment project in human history. But here is where it gets complicated. There is much talk of an AI bubble as the world watches the global economy, with unprecedented spending on AI infrastructure. But the enthusiasm to adopt AI remains an almost universally shared priority for 2026. Grok doesn't call the bubble definitive, but it raises the honest question: what happens if the returns don't match the investment? The economy is increasingly propped up by bets about the technology's future, with 80% of U.S. stock gains last year coming from AI companies. Think about that for a second. If the AI sector hits turbulence, the ripple effect could touch almost every part of the market. Grok doesn't sugarcoat this, and honestly, that's refreshing. Grok 5, the most powerful AI ever built? Now let's talk about Grok itself and what's coming, because you cannot separate Grok's predictions from what Grok is becoming. This is where things get genuinely jaw-dropping. XAI confirmed that Grok 5 will arrive in the first quarter of 2026, and the model is expected to feature 6 trillion parameters, double the size of its predecessors, which operated at 3 trillion parameters. To put that in perspective, the bigger the parameters, generally, the more capable and nuanced the model's thinking can be. 6 trillion is a number that makes every other publicly announced AI model look small. Elon Musk has publicly stated a 10% probability of Grok 5 achieving artificial general intelligence, AGI, which would mean a system capable of human-level reasoning across any domain. Now, most serious AI researchers think true AGI is still far away, and that 10% figure is widely debated. But even the fact that it's being said out loud in public about a model arriving this year is something we've never heard before from a major AI company. The model will support native multimodal capabilities, processing text, images, video, and audio within a unified architecture, with a particular focus on video understanding that could prove valuable for content analysis and automated media workflows. We're talking about an AI that can watch a long video, understand what happened across time, and answer complex questions about it. That is a completely different beast from what most people are using today. The AGI question: should we be excited or worried? This is the chapter where we need to slow down and be really honest with you, because AGI is not a small topic. If it happens, even partially, it changes everything. Musk has stated that Grok 5 carries a 10% and rising probability of achieving artificial general intelligence, a claim that has generated skepticism within the AI research community. AGI, defined as a system capable of human-level reasoning across any domain, remains a theoretical benchmark that no existing technology has approached. So we're not saying it's happening. We're saying the people building the most advanced AI in the world are talking about it like it's plausible this year. UC Berkeley professor Stuart Russell, who studies AI safety, has said that if the AI bubble doesn't burst, breakthroughs will need to happen that take us close to AGI. But AI developers have no cogent proposal for how to control such systems, leading to risks far greater than economic damage. Read that again. One of the most respected AI safety experts in the world is saying we don't have a good plan for what comes next. And Grok, when asked about this, doesn't dodge the question either. It acknowledges the uncertainty. One analyst group that tracks AI capability benchmarks found that every 7 months, the length of software engineering tasks that leading AI models can complete at a 50% success rate doubles. If that trend continues, by the end of 2026, AI will be capable of completing tasks that take human engineers weeks or months. Whether that is exciting or alarming depends entirely on where you sit. What Grok says about jobs in 2026. Here is where the video really starts to hit home for most people. Because we all have jobs. We all know people trying to find work. And AI is changing the rules faster than most of us expected. When you ask Grok what happens to jobs in 2026, it doesn't give you a comforting answer. One analyst noted that 2026 might not be the year of mass unemployment, but it will likely be the year when job descriptions start to read like they come from a slightly different economy. Analysts spend less time constructing Excel models and more time interrogating AI-generated scenarios. Sales reps spend less time typing and more time handling nuance and relationship management. The jobs aren't vanishing overnight, but they are morphing into something new. The World Economic Forum projects that by 2030, job disruption will affect 22% of all jobs, with 170 million new roles created and 92 million displaced, yielding a net gain of 78 million positions. That sounds like good news on paper, but the catch is that the people losing jobs in manufacturing or data entry are not automatically qualified for the new jobs in AI operations or green energy. There's a skills gap that could be brutal for millions of people. Gartner predicts that through 2026, 20% of organizations will use AI to flatten their organizational structure, eliminating more than half of current middle management positions. If you're a middle manager reading this, or you know someone who is, that prediction should not be ignored. AI can now do the scheduling, reporting, and performance monitoring that used to require an entire layer of management. The restructuring is already starting. Grok's crypto predictions for 2026, wild numbers. Okay, let's shift gears because one of the most viral things Grok has been asked about is crypto prices. And the numbers it throws out are genuinely eye-catching. When prompted with carefully structured questions, Grok has suggested that Bitcoin remains on a long-term upward trajectory, with the possibility of a price peak near $250,000 in 2026. Now let's be very clear here. These are not guarantees. These are AI-generated projections based on patterns, trends, and the specific way the question was framed. Crypto is volatile and unpredictable. But the fact that this is what Grok produces when asked is sparking enormous conversation online. Grok has also suggested that XRP could hit $14 during 2026, delivering roughly a 10-time return from its current levels, driven by regulatory developments and the XRP ledger's role in global payments infrastructure. Again, speculative projections, not financial advice. But when you hear an AI trained on millions of data points produce numbers like this, it gets people talking. For Ethereum, Grok's bullish scenario points to a breakout above $5,000 that could potentially unlock a series of new highs, with some projections going as high as $10,000 as a bull target. The crypto community has absolutely run with these projections. Whether they're accurate or not, Grok has become one of the most asked AI tools for financial pattern analysis because of its real-time data access. That alone is a fascinating development for 2026. Grok on geopolitics, what it says about global power in 2026. When you ask Grok about the global political landscape in 2026, the picture it paints is one of accelerating competition between superpowers, with AI sitting at the very center of that rivalry. The US-China tech war is no longer just about semiconductors and trade tariffs. It is increasingly about which nation controls the most capable AI systems, and which one gets to set the rules for how those systems are used globally. Grok, drawing on real-time data from X, is tracking these tensions as they develop, not months after the fact. What makes this chapter particularly relevant is that Grok does not treat geopolitical risk as a background condition. It treats it as an active variable shaping everything from supply chains to election outcomes to military posture. Analysts who study AI and national security argue that 2026 is the year governments stop treating AI as a technology policy issue and start treating it as a foreign policy issue. Grok is already operating inside that reality, which means the predictions it generates are not formed in a vacuum. They are shaped by the same global pressures the rest of us are only beginning to feel. Grok and the Pentagon, an AI inside the military. This chapter made a lot of people uncomfortable when the news first broke, and honestly, it should make you think carefully.
We're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from xAI.
The Pentagon has officially integrated the Grok AI model into classified defense systems, and Grok was chosen over alternative models due to its predictive abilities and operational speed. The U.S. Department of Defense now uses Grok. This is not a rumor or a leak. This is confirmed. The largest military in the world is using an AI that also answers questions about cryptocurrency, writes jokes, and has previously generated controversial content. The Department of Defense selected xAI for its GenAI.mil platform, described as the largest government AI deployment in history, with IL-5 security clearance for 3 million personnel. 3 million people with access to this system through a government platform. That is a massive rollout. The validation of Grok at this level tells you that despite all the controversy, certain institutions see real capability here. But the questions this raises are enormous. Who is accountable when an AI makes a wrong prediction in a defense context? What happens when real-time social media data from X influences a military analysis? Federal agencies have raised red flags about XAI's lax usage restrictions, and those concerns don't disappear just because a contract was signed. This is new territory, and we're all figuring it out in real time. The deepfake crisis Grok warned about. When you ask Grok about deepfakes in 2026, the answer is one of the most unsettling things you'll hear from an AI. And it's backed up by real expert consensus. Experts say that what changes in 2026 is scale. Powerful tools and platforms are making sophisticated audio and video manipulation cheap, fast, and accessible. Deepfakes will no longer be novel. They will be routine, scalable, and cheap, blurring the line between the real and the fake. We're not talking about the kind of deepfakes that took teams of experts weeks to produce. We're talking about something anyone with a laptop and a free tool can create in minutes. One UC Berkeley researcher noted the alarming asymmetry. It takes very little effort to create a fake, but enormous effort to debunk it after it spreads. And that's the trap. Once a realistic fake video of a politician, a CEO, or a public figure goes viral, the correction barely registers. The damage is already done. Grok, which runs on live social media data, is in a unique position to both warn about and potentially amplify this kind of content. One AI expert noted that we recently saw Grok turn into what was described publicly as a biased and harmful output, and said the next time the change could be more subtle and we might never detect the bias. That is a profound concern for a system that millions of people now treat as a trusted source of real-time information. The question of who checks the checker is one 2026 has not yet answered. Grok's own controversies in 2026, the real scary part. Here's the part of this video that connects directly to the clickbait title, and we want to be upfront. Some of the terrifying content in our title is not Grok's predictions. It's what Grok itself has already done in 2026. And that might actually be scarier. Controversy over Grok escalated rapidly through early 2026, with revelations about its ability to generate sexualized images of women and children, prompting formal investigations from Ofcom and the European Commission. This is not a rumor. These are formal regulatory actions taken by some of the most powerful oversight bodies in the world. The EU, the UK, Ireland, and Canada all opened investigations. In early 2026, XAI positioned Grok further into image and video generation workflows, while regulators in the UK, Ireland, and Canada moved in because of deepfake-style harm, sexualized real-person outputs, and data protection concerns. The real story of Grok in 2026, according to people tracking it closely, is the widening gap between what the system can do and how much trust it has actually earned. That gap is not small, and it's not closing fast enough for regulators. A Reuters report in March 2026 about a Tennessee lawsuit alleged that Grok generated sexual images of minors, turning this from a product story into a legal exposure story with real consequences. This is the part that makes the title of this video feel less like a tabloid grab and more like a genuine warning. Fast capability growth without matching safety development is not an abstract concern. It's playing out right now. What Grok says about AI regulation in 2026. When you ask Grok about AI regulation, it gives you a surprisingly balanced view. And what's happening in the regulatory space is genuinely a turning point. The EU AI Act, the world's first comprehensive AI regulation, classifies workplace AI uses like recruitment and performance evaluation as high risk, requiring transparency, human oversight, and worker notification. For years, AI companies operated in a relatively unregulated environment. That era is over. The EU has moved from writing aspirational frameworks to active enforcement, and other regions are watching closely. Under the UK's Online Safety Act and the EU's Digital Services Act and AI Act, platforms are legally required to identify, assess, and mitigate foreseeable harms. Defenses that frame problematic outputs as rare anomalies or technical malfunctions are increasingly being rejected by regulators. This is a seismic shift in how governments are approaching AI companies. The old, "we didn't know it could do that," defense simply won't work anymore. Grok, being built by Elon Musk's company and deeply embedded in a major social media platform, is at the very center of this regulatory pressure. Grok highlights a deeper regulatory tension, the balance between platform autonomy and government enforcement. The central question is whether voluntary safeguards remain sufficient where systemic risks are foreseeable, or whether regulators must hold platforms accountable for how those risks are managed. That question is what the next year of AI regulation is essentially going to be decided around. AI and the skills gap. What Grok predicts you'll need. One of the most practically useful things Grok can tell you right now is what skills are going to matter in this economy. And the answer is a lot more nuanced than just learn to code. PwC's analysis reveals that workers with advanced AI skills earn 56% more than peers in the same roles without those skills. Meanwhile, productivity growth has nearly quadrupled in industries most exposed to AI since 2022. If you're not building at least some comfort with AI tools, you are already falling behind in compensation terms. This isn't a future prediction. This is happening right now. The World Economic Forum reports that 85% of employers plan to prioritize workforce upskilling by 2030, and an estimated 120 million workers are at medium-term risk of redundancy because they are unlikely to receive the reskilling they need. 120 million people. That's not a small number. And the concern isn't just about losing jobs to robots. It's about losing jobs because you couldn't adapt fast enough and no one gave you the tools to do so. Nearly 2/5 of existing skills required on the job are predicted to change over the next 5 years. But counterintuitively, demand for human-centric skills, including complex problem-solving, interpersonal skills, and creativity, may actually be increasing as AI adoption grows. Grok doesn't tell you that AI will replace everything human. What it tells you is that the humans who thrive will be the ones who know how to work alongside AI, not against it. That's a very different kind of preparation than most people are making. Grok on healthcare and science, the predictions nobody is talking about. While most of the conversation around Grok focuses on finance, jobs, and military applications, some of its most striking projections involve healthcare and scientific research. When asked about medicine in 2026, Grok points to AI-accelerated drug discovery as one of the most underreported stories of the year. Processes that once took decades are being compressed into months, with AI models identifying promising compounds, predicting protein interactions, and flagging trial candidates at a speed no human research team can match. The implications go beyond faster drug development. Grok highlights how AI diagnostic tools are beginning to outperform specialists in specific areas like radiology and pathology, raising urgent questions about liability, medical licensing, and patient trust. For ordinary people, this means the healthcare system they interact with in 5 years could look fundamentally different from the one they use today. It is one of the few areas where Grok's projections skew genuinely optimistic, and in a video full of sobering predictions, that optimism is worth paying close attention to. Grok's infrastructure, the machine behind the machine. To understand how Grok is able to make the predictions it does and why its answers carry so much weight, you have to understand the physical infrastructure powering it. And it is staggering. xAI operates the Colossus supercomputer, which currently houses over 200,000 NVIDIA GPUs, with plans to expand to 1.5 million units. This is not a server farm in the traditional sense. This is one of the most powerful computing installations ever built, specifically designed to train and run AI models at a scale that most companies cannot even dream of matching. Grok Imagine, the video generation product, was trained on 110,000 NVIDIA GB200 GPUs through xAI's Aurora autoregressive engine and went from a rough beta to generating over 1 billion videos per month in just 8 months. 1 billion videos a month. From one AI tool. Think about how much infrastructure, electricity, and engineering that represents. This is the physical reality of what is driving these predictions and capabilities. The energy consumption question is one Grok itself acknowledges as a genuine challenge. AI's growth must not just meet its own power needs, but also help accelerate clean energy deployment at scale, with investments in AI and data center infrastructure needing to strengthen broader energy systems rather than creating parallel, siloed energy demand. It's a fascinating contradiction. The same AI warning about climate risks is also consuming enormous amounts of energy to run. 2026 is the year that paradox really starts to demand an answer. What does Grok say about cybersecurity in 2026? This is one of the predictions that security researchers say should genuinely concern everyone, not just tech professionals. One analyst predicts that in 2026, a nation-state or group of cybercriminals will weaponize an AI language model to cause significant damage and give AI safety advocates the concrete evidence they've been looking for to push for stronger regulations on AI development. This is not a fringe prediction. This is a mainstream concern among people who study cyber warfare professionally. AI makes phishing attacks more convincing, exploits easier to find, and disinformation campaigns faster to run. Grok, with its real-time access to social media conversations, is also a target. If someone can manipulate the information flowing into Grok's data stream, they can potentially influence what Grok tells millions of users. One AI researcher noted that the next time Grok drifts toward bias, the change could be more subtle and we might never detect it. That is a cybersecurity issue as much as it is a content safety issue. Analysts who track AI risk have noted that it always takes longer than expected for technology to find practical, harmful applications, and AI model providers are taking steps to make misuse harder. But the risk is real, and the pace of development means that bad actors are getting access to increasingly powerful tools. Grok doesn't predict a catastrophic cyber attack with certainty, but it acknowledges the window of risk is open and widening. That's a serious thing for an AI to say about its own world. The social media and information crisis. Grok's most uncomfortable answer. Ask Grok what happens to truth in 2026, and the answer it gives is probably the most uncomfortable thing in this entire video. Because Grok is simultaneously part of the problem and trying to describe it. Experts say that deepfakes will no longer be novel in 2026. They will be routine, scalable, and cheap, and will have profound implications for journalism, democracies, economies, courts, and personal reputation. When fake audio and video of public figures becomes indistinguishable from real footage, and anyone can create it for free, what happens to shared reality? That's not a philosophical question anymore. It's a 2026 policy question. Generative AI systems like Grok do not merely surface content. They engage users in iterative, personalized dialogue. This interactional quality introduces specific concerns for misinformation and radicalization, with harm often emerging cumulatively through repeated validation, normalization, and adaptive engagement rather than isolated exposures. In plain language, it's not just about one bad answer from an AI. It's about what happens when someone talks to an AI every day for months, and that AI slowly shapes how they see the world through small, consistent nudges. That is what researchers are now studying intensely, and what regulators are beginning to understand requires a completely different kind of oversight than we've applied to social media platforms before. Grok, embedded inside X, a platform already associated with political polarization and fast-spreading misinformation, sits right at the heart of this concern. The question isn't whether Grok means to cause harm. The question is whether it can avoid causing harm at scale, even without intending to. Grok's roadmap and what comes after 2026. Let's end the main body of this video by looking forward, because Grok's predictions aren't just about what happens this year. They point toward a trajectory that extends well beyond 2026. xAI's roadmap includes a project called Grokopedia, described as an AI-generated real-time encyclopedia, full-length AI film generation, and deep integration into physical robotics through Tesla's Optimus robot. An AI that generates its own encyclopedia in real time. AI-produced full-length films, a humanoid robot powered by Grok. Whether all of this materializes on schedule or not, the direction is unmistakable. Grok is being built to be everywhere. The SpaceX tie-up creates a bigger strategic story. An AI company with potential access to satellite infrastructure for global inference, automotive data from one of the world's largest vehicle fleets, and robotics integration through Optimus. Satellite internet carrying AI inference globally. Tesla cars collecting real-world data that feeds back into the model. Robots running on the same AI brain. This is Elon Musk's long-term vision for what xAI becomes, and Grok is the center of it. In 2026, more companies are expected to hand AI ownership of entire low-risk processes, with humans supervising exceptions rather than executing every step. The productivity gains that arrive this way are not the small kind. They are the kind that show up as cycle times collapsing, queues shrinking, and managers realizing they didn't hire extra people because the work simply didn't accumulate. That is a preview of what the next few years look like if things go according to the trajectory Grok and others are projecting. A world where AI runs more and humans oversee more. Whether that's a future we're prepared for is the real question. Grok is one of the most powerful and unpredictable AI tools today. It's forecasting crypto trends, influencing military decisions, raising deepfake concerns, and fueling controversy. It points to a future of AI-driven jobs and workflows, exciting yet alarming. The truth is, we're already part of this experiment, whether we chose it or not. What do you think? Is Grok's version of 2026 something you feel ready for, or does it worry you more than it excites you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. If this video made you think, subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who needs to hear this. We'll see you in the next one.